All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at the Mariners Museum in Newport News. This is really turning out to be like a state of address. This is where maritime history meets tomorrow's innovation. And I would like to welcome the Mariners Museum Senior Director of Advancement, Sabrina Jones, to give you all a welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here this afternoon. Can I just get a quick show of hand before my remarks? How many of you, this is your first time being at the Mariners Museum and Park? Oh, I love it. Stick around. It's only $1 every single day. You can come anytime. I just want to take a moment on behalf of the Mariners team to welcome you and thank you, Tim and team, for choosing Mariners to host your first annual summit. Our Mariners team actually embraced a repositioning just 10 years ago here at the museum to focus on how we better serve segments of our community or our market in business speak. We embraced the SRI international approach to meeting a need, approach, benefit, and cost to identify who are the segments of our community that we can serve with both our heritage collection inside the museum as well as with our living collection. That repositioning actually led to a number of positive benefits through this approach. We repositioned ourselves as a community resource. We adopted a $1 admission policy, which is now still our signature access initiative. We raised endowments and sponsorships that allowed us to serve students across the Hampton Roads area at free and no cost, even today. We made our world-class batten conservation lab on the other side of the building the largest, most advanced conservation lab in any maritime museum in the entire world. And we invested in amenities outside in our 550-acre Mariners Park. Being disciplined to this process has actually created and delivered on new opportunities for our business overall. That means we've been able to build our endowment from $0 7 years ago to just over $26 million today. Absolutely, right? Pretty incredible. I'm also proud to say that one of the teams that I lead has tripled contributed revenue into our doors from corporate, foundation, and federal and state resources. We have reduced our debt load in the museum by 53% over those same 7 years, and we have grown the number of students that we've seen from just 9,000 students per year to over 30,000 students annually. And reminder, 86% of those are free. But it's not just enough for us to measure success for us. Of course, all of these metrics are great, but the outside validation, the third-party validation, is who tells you that your business is actually not only surviving, but is thriving. And so the third-party validation that we've been able to garner from our external partners includes being recognized as a top workplace for 6 years running. Our team co-authored a journal article with Old Dominion University's Center on Educational Partnerships to identify how Mariners Lake is leading the charge in developing the next generation of environmental stewards. And lastly, we were selected for a national leadership grant, which puts our conservation team as an example of leadership in removing sulfur from archaeological materials throughout the globe. So those third-party validations are absolutely the success indicator that we use to say you, our community, our market, that we are successful and thriving. So thank you for being here today. We believe in innovation, and because of that, on behalf of our entire Mariners team, we wish you a successful summit today, and we hope you leave inspired to create your own success stories here in the region.
For those that have not downloaded the program, you can do that. There's QR codes on your table. Also hit the screen here.
protecting our people.
To be the next wave.
Solving problems in extreme environments.
Dream big.
I think it's really exciting.
So much more than we can even put into kind of one thought.
It's just the best, guys. It's really the best.
Thank you, Sabrina. I am Tim Ryan, the Executive Director of Innovate Hampton Roads. And I want to start by thanking you all. This event has sold out 6 times. Every time we had another ticket or two that would open up, they were immediately gone. We had to reconfigure the room, so I want to thank the Mariners Museum for helping us do that. So we are now closer, we're friends, because we had to reconfigure this room so many times to fit as many people as we could. Looks like we have standing room only, so thank you. We had no idea how this was going to turn out being the inaugural event. It looks like there is a demand. So today we're going to talk about the state of innovation in Hampton Roads, but before that, I want to make a confession. I believe in the give before you get mindset. It's who I am, it's how I live, and it's how we operate in our ecosystem. So today, I'm not here to sell you anything. We are here to give you the unfiltered, story-driven snapshot of what is really happening in the 757. And why in this room, right now, is the beginning of the next historic wave that will help shape tomorrow. I have 3 goals for this program today. First, I want to ensure that you leave here with a better understanding of the amount of innovation that is taking place across our region. Second, I want you to leave inspired by the talks that you're going to hear today. And finally, I want you to find a way to become involved to support our ecosystem. Before we get into the program, we have to thank our sponsors. I think that it is rightfully so, since this is on the peninsula, that Bob, can we adopt the 1 clap rule? All right, we got to make up a little bit of time. For some of you, this is going to be a treat. Peninsula folks, you know what to do. This would not be possible without our sponsors: Newport News Economic Development Authority, VIPC, Reactor, Quantum Creative, HRSD, and I also need to thank the Innovate Hampton Roads board members, many of whom are in attendance today. Our chair, Tom Marsden. Our vice chair, Alan Hagerman. Toy Hunter, John Fingera, John Paris, Kevin Leslie, Nancy Durkin, Derek Williams, Jolie Spears, and Lena Pasquelli. And to our volunteers, Andrew, John, Amber, Toy, Cully, Aaron, Nick, and Katrina, thank you so much. And of course, to Zach Miller and Destiny Harrell. We are a team of 3. We are lean, we are mean, and we are really, really scrappy to put something like this off. But it takes a team of all of us. Thank you so much. We call this the State of Innovation Address because we're done with speculation. No more Hampton Roads has potential. Today we tell the truth. We are leading. The truth is that we've always been a leader. The roots of American entrepreneurship trace back to 1607, right here in Virginia at Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement in North America. This wasn't a royal expedition funded by the crown. Instead, it was a group of London merchants led by Thomas Smith and other adventurers who formed the Virginia Company, a joint stock company which proved to be the ancestors of modern corporations and venture capital. Look around. Today, we sit at the intersection of the world's largest Navy base In fact, if our Navy footprint operated as a standalone public entity, its impact would place it among the top 130 companies in the Fortune 500 list, and by headcount, number 20. We have shipyards that build the most complex vessels on Earth, an Air Force base that flies the most technically advanced fighter jets, and one of America's biggest and deepest ports. NASA Langley Research Center, which is enabling human life to become multiplanetary, and a federal lab that is the primary facility to smash electrons here in the United States. For decades, that has been our identity. Today, it's our launch pad. I feel we tend to get a little complacent with these economic engines in our backyard. So if we swapped those resources with headquarters of these publicly traded equivalents, this would be our footprint. Our Navy is the equivalent of Nike. HII is the equivalent of Chipotle. Joint Base Langley USIS would be Zillow. NASA, the Port of Virginia would be the equivalent of Planet Fitness was headquartered here. And NASA Langley would be the equivalent of a GoPro. But here's the thing. These companies all alone, they represent a market cap of $142 billion. That is the equivalent if Uber started here. But none of these companies are shaping humanity like we are. Every day, the men and women of Hampton Roads, they're making their mark on the future. And this can't be done alone, nor can we sit back and wait for things to happen. It takes the next band of adventurers, many of whom you'll hear from today. As we planned this afternoon, we quickly learned that our biggest challenge is consolidating the region's activities into a single program. It's a near impossible task, but we're going to give it our best shot. Here's the deal. A powerful combination of strength and innovation in our region is no longer by accident. Today, it's the foundation of our region's unmatched potential. It is the result of the recently launched Hampton Roads Playbook. Leading the charge every day is the Hampton Roads Alliance, the region's economic development organization representing 15 municipalities and over 100 private sector investors. And at the helm since September of 2019 is President and CEO Doug Smith, a lifelong Hampton Roads leader and Portsmouth native whose deep public sector experience includes serving as city manager of Norfolk, deputy city manager in Virginia Beach and Portsmouth, and on the Portsmouth City Council. Doug has been instrumental in shaping and launching.
Enough about me. We gotta make up time.
I'm almost done. Here today is to show you the bold strategic framework about our competitive advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Smith.
Thank you, Tim. And listen, I got to tell you, I love the energy that you and your team bring to these conversations and to these events. I don't appreciate only getting 5 minutes, but I am going to be fairly quick here. And so our task has been to give you sort of a headline to think about and leave the day with, and give you a sense of maybe what's happening in the region. And I think my task is to give all this a little bit of context. Maybe the one thing I want you to remember is Hampton Roads is not just experiencing disruption. We are standing at the center of one of the most consequential economic realignments in decades, right? Well, what's happening globally is in national security, energy, supply chains, and technology is not incremental change. It is structural. And moments like this don't come often. The regions that win are the ones that do not react to change. They're the ones that organize around it. And I'm here to tell you there's going to be a new regional economic order that's created out of all this change. And that's exactly what the playbook is designed to deal with. You all know this, and I've been showing this slide for the last couple of years. The disruption that's taken place, the scale is really hard to articulate and hard to overstate. And that disruption is only getting more intense. We're seeing sustained federal investment in defense and national security, a global push toward energy independence and now in new energy systems, rapid acceleration in aerospace, autonomy and advanced systems, and a fundamental rewiring of global logistics and supply chains. Hampton Roads sits at the center of all of this. Think about this. For decades, the things that we do here and that we do really well have been undervalued, underappreciated, and underfunded, and that is changing. In the regions that succeed, think about this. They're going to be military metros, check. They're going to be innovation hubs, look around the room. They're going to be energy first movers. Chelsea's going to tell you a lot about that in a few minutes, and they're going to be trading powerhouses, right? Hampton Roads checks all 4 of those boxes. We are home to the world's largest naval base, a port that connects global commerce and military logistics, a dense concentration of energy, maritime, and advanced manufacturing assets. These assets have always been here. What's changed is the world is now moving in our direction. So we capture that alignment in this playbook. Have folks seen the playbook? If you haven't, go to www.hamptonroadsplaybook.com, right? We rolled this out to 700 people, showed up at the Sandler Center back in October. And that tells me the region was hungry for a vision and for a plan for the region. We capture that alignment through what we call the DEAL framework: defense, energy, aerospace, and logistics. And these are not just industries, they are demand signals. They reflect where the global economy is going. But the real shift is where innovation happens. It's not within those sectors, it's in how those sectors come together. The playbook is built on that idea. It connects these industries through shared drivers, innovation, workforce, infrastructure, and capital. And we are already starting to see this convergence take shape. Technologies developed in defense are now powering energy systems. Autonomous platforms are transforming both aerospace and maritime operations. Supply chain innovations are bridging commercial logistics and military readiness. This is what modern innovation looks like. It's not isolated breakthroughs. It's the integration of capabilities across sectors to create entirely new systems of value. And that's where Hampton Roads has a real advantage, because we are one of the few places where all of these capabilities already exist. So why does it matter? Because it changes how we compete. This is how we move from a region with strong individual assets to being a region that operates as a coordinated economic platform. This is about building ecosystems. Somebody asked me if I was going to talk about the trip we just took to the UK, and I'll talk about that on the sidebar. But we took 40 regional leaders to the United Kingdom 2 weeks ago. 6 mayors, 4 community college presidents, representatives from Virginia Tech, Old Dominion, Virginia Wesleyan, I'm sure I'm leaving out folks, at Fairlead, Huntington Ingalls. And what we were trying to do is show them how regional ecosystems are what is driving this new economy. It's when you pull, Newport News Ship is a phenomenal asset, but they're only as good as our supply chain, as our universities, as our ecosystem, as our elected leaders all work together to help them be successful. It also builds our resilience. When industries are connected, when defense, energy, aerospace, and logistics reinforce each other, growth is not just dependent on any single sector. It becomes systemic. And that is the difference between participating in the economy and helping to shape it. So looking forward, one of the things that I think is exciting about the playbook is it is about 8 very specific projects. I'm not going to talk to you about them today, which you just don't have time. But the idea is that rather than coming up with a plan that sits on a shelf, what are 8 concrete things that we can organize around and do and complete that have a chance to change the region? So what happens next is where execution matters. The playbook is not just a strategy, it is a set of real, tangible projects designed to accelerate this convergence and capture the moment. We are moving from alignment to action, from opportunity to delivery, because the window in front of us is real. And regions that move with clarity and urgency will define the next era of economic leadership. Hampton Roads has a real opportunity. Now it's about seizing it. And if you look at this, again, all this is online. I love this tagline: strengths defined, strategies aligned. And for so long, we've talked about our fragmented assets, right? We've got things all over the region. The reality is they are our distributed strengths. We now understand what they are, and now we want organizations, whether it's Old Dominion University, Isle of Wight, or Fairlead, everybody knows where it is we're trying to go and what we're trying to lean in on. So thrilled to be with you all today and grateful for all that you're doing to move the region forward. I stayed under my 5 minutes.
Thank you, Doug. For many of you, this might be the first Innovate Hampton Roads event that you have attended. And for others, you may not fully understand the true impact that Innovate Hampton Roads has. No matter what, I'm sure you'll leave here amazed and energized when you see the accomplishments made by Innovate Hampton Roads and our builders. Innovate Hampton Roads, we are a result of a merger between Startwheel and the Hampton Roads Innovation Collaborative, or HRIC. Startwheel was focused on building the early stage entrepreneurial community, while HRIC was focused on building the tech community through meetups, collaborations, and lessons learned. So what started, no kidding, as an online calendar of events and meetups that took place, that is what turned into Innovate Hampton Roads. This merger immediately eliminated duplication, it consolidated funding sources, and streamlined operations. Today, we are laser focused on achieving several bold goals. The biggest goal is to create a unicorn in each of the 7 cities. For those not familiar with what a unicorn is, it is a privately held startup company valued at $1 billion or more. We know that one IPO will completely transform our region's landscape. Each unicorn requires hundreds of direct jobs in support and hundreds of additional jobs in indirect support for each of our unicorns that we build. And when the IPO occurs, with one of these homegrown unicorns, hundreds of millions of dollars of liquid capital will be unlocked, directly benefiting the employees and early stage investors that have received equity along the journey. Just as Doug outlined the Playbook strategy, I will outline how Innovate Hampton Roads will be operating at the tactical level, executing the Alliance's vision while growing our innovation ecosystem. Innovate Hampton Roads is the storyteller across our ecosystem, and we have a series of signature programs and events. But externally to the 757, we are educating the outside world about Hampton Roads. We're showcasing the region's most promising companies. We're making the case while Hampton Roads is the emerging powerhouse that deserves investment, and we're already seeing those results. And you'll see those results throughout the program today. Internally, we're showcasing our region's most promising companies, and we've established a pipeline for companies to follow and grow. Let me be clear. Our startups and businesses need your support, especially from within our community. We're educating the Hampton Roads community about venture scale investing and why you should explore investing in our ecosystem. Here's the bottom line. When that IPO unlocks the hundreds of millions of dollars, we don't want the returns going to a VC firm located in the Valley. We want those returns going back to our community. Today's a big day to go to deep space. Joe Gaspar is the director of the Strategic Partnership Office at NASA Langley. Joe brings over 20 years of project and leadership experience, and we are at a pivotal moment when humanity stands on the threshold of becoming a multiplanetary species. Joe's work is helping accelerate the technologies and partnerships essential for establishing a sustainable moon base and expanding our presence across the solar system. Much of that is unfolding here in our own backyard at NASA Langley, driving innovation that will shape humanity's future among the stars. Talking about innovation in space, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Bassbar.
So, good afternoon. I just want to say I was asked to take over this position about 4 weeks ago, so I'm going to blame all the mistakes on I'm just new here. But it's really glad to be with you today. I'm very excited to be here and talk about some of the things that are going on within NASA Langley and NASA as a whole. As Tim said, today couldn't be planned better. If y'all aren't tracking, there's hopefully a launch happening in a couple of hours, 6:24 p.m. You know, we know anybody that's been involved in launching things to space, sometimes it doesn't quite go off when you expect, but we're hoping that this one does since the weather sounds beautiful down in Florida. So without further ado, people who are familiar or maybe not familiar with NASA Langley, we do a lot of different things. We work across all of NASA's mission directorates with most of the missions. A good example, you know, given that Artemis will hopefully launch later today, is the Artemis rocket. You may think of Kennedy Space Center or Marshall, but all the aerodynamics for that rocket and its wind tunnel testing happened right here, just up the road, in a variety of our wind tunnels at NASA Langley. So we have a big piece of the Artemis and its hopeful success later today. But I want to talk about, as a storyteller, people that know me, I want to kind of anchor this talk in kind of a story. So we have many areas that we are strong in. One of the most prominent is the area of entry, descent, and landing. So hopefully in a week or so, depending on when they launch, the astronauts will come back and land in the ocean, in the capsule, the Orion capsule. They have to pass through the atmosphere to make that happen. And that act of going from the space to the ground is an area in which we are recognized as a leader, the leader within NASA. So entry, descent, landing is a big kind of cornerstone of our work and where we do a lot of our innovation. But that doesn't just happen in a vacuum. That happens connecting a bunch of different pieces of other areas of expertise, not just within Langley, but across the agency. So for example, I already mentioned wind tunnels. We have a tremendous amount of work that goes into modeling and simulation of the fluid dynamics around a capsule or a hypersonic vehicle. And then we have sensing technologies such as LiDAR that help us understand what the framework looks like when we're getting closer to the ground. That's going to be important not only for coming back to Earth, but going to other planets. And as we build up the new Moonbase Alpha, if you were online and listening to our new administrator, Jared Isaacman, last week, the Ignition event is all about the next stage beyond these first couple Artemis missions and building up a base on the moon. That's going to take a tremendous amount of sensing and landing expertise, of which Langley will be playing a big part. But of course, that's just one thing, right? Our story starts not just from sensing technologies that help enter, descent, landing, but also help us understand our environment. So we've built up a tremendous amount of expertise working to sense the atmosphere and penetrating into the ocean to do profiles, right? And of course, we know, anybody that walks out back, plenty of water and littoral regions around us of multiple interest both to NASA and other partners. That also translates over to if we someday land on Mars or other planets, we don't know what their surfaces look like. They're going to need those technologies to scope out the atmosphere that they're flying through, as well as understand what they're landing on. And then, of course, we have built up a tremendous amount of materials expertise that floods into the zone when it comes to designing the capsules and systems that fly and trying to innovate beyond the traditional, what some of us may remember as Apollo and the shuttle, that very rigid structure. We've done pioneering work with inflatable decelerators, and we actually flew one a few years ago out of Wallops Space Flight Center up on the Eastern Shore. And very happy to see that technology translate forward to, hey, if we're going to put things on the surface of Mars, we're going to have to make them very large, and they really need to look more like an inflatable decelerator to get them there. So again, we are very excited about this moment in time. NASA has been through some changes over the last year, but our new administrator has really ignited a sense of renewal within the agency. Everybody's very excited, and we're looking forward to the new opportunities that are presented to us. As far as Langley in this region, Tim already spoke to this, and so did Doug. I think it's incumbent upon me to triple down on that statement. We consider this region to be a key area for aerospace in the nation and in the world. And we feel like as one of NASA's premier research centers that works across the entire mission space, that we can be a key partner with you as you innovate to drive those technologies that are going to be important over the next 10 to 20 to 50 years. We see it as a piece of a large spectrum of development from Earth to space, and it's not in the title of the slide, but to the surface, right? Again, putting a base on the moon is something I think we've all dreamed about, perhaps at certain times, maybe when we were kids, but to see it actually happen will be something that's very amazing for our children and our children's children. So I just want to leave you all with the note that we are here to help. We're here to partner with you. Again, we've got tremendous capability on the technical person expertise side, but also a lot of facilities that are available and open to partnering. You can contact me. You can contact my team if you're interested. And again, it says launch in a few days. Hopefully that day's today. I've got my family all set up to watch it this afternoon. I wish I could actually be there in person, but we've got probably 50 or 100 people from the center down there to watch it in person. But it won't be the last one. I keep telling my family Artemis 3 is right around the corner. We'll go that time. But please, if you have a chance, take a moment on your phone at 6 o'clock and just tune into the countdown. I think it's going to be amazing. And definitely find me after the event today if you have any questions. I'm here to talk. So thank you, Tim, so much.
One of the biggest investments in our ecosystem comes from the city of Hampton. For years, they have funded Reactor, a center of excellence focused on technology-driven startups, especially those that want to leverage NASA. 3 years ago, Innovate Hampton Roads assumed management of Reactor, and today, Reactor is thriving, and it's home to 19 portfolio companies. Of those 19 companies, 9 of them are pursuing NASA technology. Together, they have raised more than $26 million and support 129 jobs. And it's because of their hard work and efforts, Reactor was a Gold Award winner in the entrepreneurship category with the International Economic Development Council. About to give you a flavor of the companies that we have in Reactor. Several of our companies are in attendance today. Would you please stand if you're in Reactor? Not only because not only because you deserve the recognition, but I want those investors in the room to know who's raising money and who's trying to close out those funding rounds. So contact them. So on the moon, this is a sample of our portfolio companies. On the moon, and it's crazy to say that, we have companies that are landing spacecraft on planets. They're building the infrastructure that we just heard about with Moonbase Alpha. We're developing the ability to grow food, provide drinkable water, and on Earth, we're disrupting real estate. We have a top 10 drone company, a hybrid seaplane company, and we're solving microelectric transportation and establishing wireless charging capabilities. We're enabling AI to the warfighter across the Air Force, and we're leveraging haptic technology for educational uses. In addition to leveraging NASA technology, many of these companies are considered to be dual-use technologies, meaning that there is a commercial use and also a use by our military. If only there was an accelerator who had the programming centered around defense-based startups. Well, there is. And it's my honor to introduce to you Cully Luthra. Cully is a defense innovation strategist and the lead for the Defense Technology Accelerator at Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge and 757 CoLab. With backgrounds in startup acceleration and dual-use technology transition, Cully designs and executes programs that help early-stage companies navigate the complexities with working with the Department of War and the Navy. Ladies and gentlemen, Cully Luthra.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to say thank you all for being here, and it's a beautiful day to be gathered here, especially at the start of spring. And today I'm going to talk to you about 757 Defend, which comes out of 757 CoLab, a nonprofit organization. And today we're going to be talking about hope. Hope is not a strategy, but sometimes it is how everything starts. A year ago, Hampton Roads had no defense accelerator, which is crazy to think about. Hampton Roads is home to one of the most concentrated and advanced military regions in the United States, all operating within the same geography, and yet no system to connect its most urgent problems to the companies best positioned to solve them. We built that system. And what happened next is what I want to tell you about today. What exists today is the first defense technology accelerator in Hampton Roads history, nonprofit, powered by 757 CoLab and the Mid-Atlantic Tech Bridge, and recognized as one of the 8 transformative projects in the Hampton Roads Alliance Playbook. 150 applications came from across the country and the world, and we chose 12. But that's not what makes us different. Most programs find companies and then go searching for the problems. We actually started with those problems. 5 specific, validated, mission-critical needs coming directly out of the Navy. We found the companies built to solve them. That shift from technology looking for a customer to solutions built for real demand is why our companies don't chase attention, they actually attract it. Now here's what hope looks like in practice. In 8 months, $4.4 million in defense contracts were awarded to our cohort. 6 or more tangible government agreements signed or in progress with commands across the fleet. One company even grew 157% year over year. And this cohort collectively engaged with every branch of the US military and NATO within a single program year. We started with the Navy because that's where the demand signal was the clearest. But what those outcomes tell you is that the opportunity here is not just naval. It's the full depth of American defense. And Hampton Roads is sitting at the center of all of it, with more concentrated military presence than any other region in the country. Every one of those branches has problems that commercial technology can solve, those dual-use technologies. That is the market that we are building the infrastructure here to serve. And what I want to tell you is what that infrastructure actually felt like to the people inside it. It felt like a founder. Brilliant, years of work behind them, sitting across from a government engineer for the very, very first time. And they're not uncertain because their technology wasn't ready. They're uncertain because no one ever taught them the language, what the acronyms mean. And I think a lot of people in this room can probably be familiar with acronym soup in the government, or how acquisition works, which door to knock on and how to make it open. That gap between what a company can do and what the government can act on is where innovation goes to die. So we closed it. With real curriculum, real access to the people who own these problems, and a model that takes zero equity and zero fees from every company that we serve. Our only measure of success is whether these companies win. 8 months in, hope becomes real. Founders who came in uncertain left with tangible government agreements and input. Technologies ended up acquired, deployed operationally, and improved at the enterprise level. Companies that have never spoken to the military were invited back with real connections to the government, industry, and VCs. That's what happens when hope meets structure. Now, hope doesn't scale alone, and I want to say the logos that are on this screen are not encompassing of everyone who has been involved, and that I think is the most important. There are so many partners in this regional ecosystem, and we want to increase that number. Hope doesn't scale alone in this region, and the slide, it's proof. These are not sponsors on a banner. These are institutions that looked at what we were building and said, this is worth backing. Economic development organizations that understand defense innovation is workforce development. Cities that understand attracting a defense tech company is just as valuable as attracting any other employer. Military and industry partners who understand their own missions are better served when the innovation pipeline is healthy. AFCEA is putting our cohort companies on the same stage as fleet operators, information warriors, and flag officers at the Hampton Roads Maritime Operations and Information Warfare Summit in May. As participants in the conversation about what the Navy needs next, that is where a startup's technology stops being a demo and starts being a solution. So when you think about that kind of alignment with regional government, economic development, military, and innovation and infrastructure all pointed in the same direction, you have something rare. We have something rare. Most defense innovation hubs spend years trying to manufacture it, but we have it right here, right now in Hampton Roads. That collation is what makes this more than a program. It is the beginning of an identity shift for this region, from a place that hosts defense to a place that actually shapes it. Hope is becoming certain. Demo week is in May. If you want more information, please let me know. And cohort 2 is coming. And the question in front of Hampton Roads now is no longer whether this works, because the outcomes answer that. The question is how fast and how far can we scale it? So our ask to you is to invest in the infrastructure that makes them succeed. Imagine what another year looks like, and hope for more information. Thank you.
Now I would like to shift into water. As we know, water is one of the things that connects us here in Hampton Roads. One aspect of water that may not be obvious is HRSD. Many of us, you may think it's just another utility bill that comes in the mail. Well, HRSD does more than treat wastewater. They are creating new solutions to protect our water and our communities. Last year, HRSD, they developed a new technology that could save up to $400 million while helping reduce carbon emissions. Their technology is now used in 140 utilities across 40 countries. They have fully implemented a new treatment process at the James River plant that cuts power by 50% and chemical costs by 80%. And looking ahead to 2026, HRSD is pushing the limits even further. HRSD will start up its SWIFT system, where they will turn treated wastewater into water that is so clean that it can recharge our underground aquifer and protect the Chesapeake Bay. HRSD is the only wastewater utility in the country with its own dedicated AI team. The utility is working towards running parts of its plants with fewer night and weekend shifts, making better jobs for its operators and helping keep rates affordable. This is what real innovation looks like. HRSD is not waiting for the future of water, it's building it right here in Hampton Roads. And as we travel across our many bridges and tunnels, we often see large cargo ships, cruise ships, and vessels from the Atlantic Fleet. In today's rapidly evolving world, innovation in maritime is no longer optional. Strengthening port operations, accelerating shipbuilding and repair, and advancing autonomous and uncrewed systems, supporting an emerging sector like offshore wind energy, all from AI-driven logistics and digital shipbuilding to autonomous vessels and next-generation maritime technologies. We are reshaping how we move goods, secure our waters, while building economic resilience. That's why we are excited to welcome our next speaker, Fred Pasquin, President and CEO of Fairlead. Fred leads more than 400 employees in support of major U.S. Navy programs of record spanning from ship construction, ship repair, and systems engineering and terminal operations, delivering readiness at speed and scale to help bring our warfighters home. Fred will share how innovation in maritime will drive future prosperity and global leadership here in Hampton Roads. Ladies and gentlemen, President and CEO of Fairlead, Fred Pasquin.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and this is quite a crowd. It's an honor to be here. I'm Fred Pasquin, the President and CEO. I think a lot of us connect to the title of President and what a President can do. And how many are familiar with a man by the name of Simon Sinek? Anybody follow Simon Sinek? I think he talks about the duties of a CEO the best, and he says, you don't connect to what is executive work. And he would say executive work is the duty of leading the vision of a company. What does that look like? And so I wanted to just talk a few minutes about what it looks like to have a unified team executing a vision together. And one of my favorite quotes from Henry Ford is, vision without execution is just hallucination. And sometimes people would say vision without capital is just hallucination, both of those. And then Patrick Lencioni says teamwork is not a virtue, it's a choice, and it's a strategic choice. So just wanted to talk a little bit about vision and teamwork. And this was a product that put together 6 years ago in 2020 to say, here's where we are at Fairlead, and here's where we're going. Today, and Fairlead 5 years ago did no shipbuilding. We entered this market, we saw this need that Newport News Shipbuilding was going to have. We dabbled in providing some products to Newport News Shipbuilding, but we never built sections of the ship. Today we build modular sections of the ship that are sometimes 2 times the size of this room, loaded on a barge and taken to Newport News Shipbuilding. So we said, we want to go from building ventilation in aircraft carriers to actually building the aircraft carriers. We also build products that go on ships and submarines, and a lot of those are electrical products, and we said we want to go from building a single electrical cabinet to a multiple electrical cabinets. And we just finished the design of an energy magazine that's going to launch the hypersonic missiles and laser beams on the Zumwalt-class destroyer. And it's 64 bays of cabinet filled with batteries from this wall to that wall. So we achieved that. We also said we want to go from manned systems to unmanned systems. And we've successfully done that across a lot of platforms. If you look at what's happening today in Ukraine and from Iran, you see unmanned system drones are becoming a bigger and bigger part of what it is to be in defense. And then finally, we were able to secure what was formerly Lambert's Point Dock in 132-acre break bulk facility, and we have transformed that facility, and that gave us the ability to repairing some boats and ships to repairing all boats and ships. And I'm here to tell you, we've been able to achieve every part of that vision. And with that, we have had a 25% CAGR, continual annual growth rate, that is organic. We didn't make any acquisitions, we simply grew. And what we've been proud of is we've been able to grow in a market that was a low growth market. But it's not a low growth market anymore. When you look at defense and the deal framework, it's a high growth market. And that's unfortunate because it's based on the events around the world, but Hampton Roads is so well to leverage what we have in this region. And so when we look at where we want to go over the next 5 years, say time to capacity beats time to contract, in that the need right now is duration. When you look at what's happening on the war front, did any of you watch 60 Minutes this past week and see how quickly the Ukrainians are evolving their drones? From a week, it's going 1 week from someone on the battlefront saying, we need this drone to do X, Y, or Z, to them iterating, implementing it, and deploying it out to the field. That's the speed at which innovation is occurring. And so we want to have 350 acres. We're not quite there. We need another 200 to do this, but 350 acres of waterfront infrastructure in order to do this. And then in the middle, we believe infrastructure beats incentives. When you have companies that are willing to invest in front of when contracts are coming, those are the companies that are winning today. And we see around the country, there's what are green fields on the water that someone has a vision to convert these facilities into shipyards. But Hampton Roads has wonderful industrial assets, just like what Norfolk Southern's Lambert's Point was, what we've converted it into at Fairwinds Landing, took an industrial asset and could quickly convert that at speed to support the Navy, to support Dominion, and to support other prime contractors for the Navy. And then finally, private capital is entering defense like we've never seen. And I love the vision earlier of we don't need to have Silicon Valley investing here, pulling the profits back to Silicon Valley. We have resources to do it here. And our goal by 2030 is $1 billion invested ahead of contracts to go and secure and the contracts that we'd like to achieve. So that's our vision of where we're going. And we have confidence we can do that because we have done it. And last year, we received the award that we were the most proud of. And I know our introduction of the Mariner Museum, they've won top workplaces the last 6 years, okay? And I'm on the board at the Mariners Museum, and this is a wonderful institution. I hope you all see what this institution is. I can tell you, though, the atmosphere of building ships might be a little more challenging than running a museum. I don't know that. I can't say that with certainty, okay? But I think it might be, being involved with both institutions, okay? And we were quite proud to win that award because we were the only maritime company to win that award because of work that's done in the maritime industry. It has a lot of challenges. And I look at our team that we built and the vision that we have and the ability to execute. And I'm excited today to say we have a high growth market now. We had a great growth rate in a no growth market, but in defense, it's now a high growth market. And we're really excited of what we want to do. And I went to the 757 Tech Night earlier this fall, and I saw that unicorn. And I said, well, why can't that unicorn be a shipbuilder? Why not? Why couldn't it be a shipbuilder? It doesn't have to be a true software technology company. It could be a shipbuilder that's successfully integrating all the technology into its processes. So thanks for hearing what we have to say regarding vision and execution and innovation, and thanks for having us.
The AI revolution, it's an energy revolution. As artificial intelligence scales at an unprecedented pace, the massive compute demands of training and running frontier models are driving explosive growth in electricity consumption. Data centers alone are projected to more than double their power usage by 2030. AI is becoming one of the largest drivers of global electricity demand. This surge is rapidly making energy the primary bottleneck for continued AI progress, outpacing chips and even data as the critical limiting factor. That's why we're thrilled to welcome our next speaker, who will share why breakthroughs in energy production, infrastructure, and innovation are essential to unlocking the full AI potential here in Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea Oliveri.
Thank you, Tim. I would argue unlocking all of our potential. I have so many thoughts. I want to rewrite this whole speech. 5 minutes is no time. I'm going to take you on a journey, so bear with me and provide some context, but hopefully it inspires us all to think differently about this incredibly unique time that Doug mentioned at the beginning of our session. So If you flipped a switch tonight and nothing happened, no lights, no Wi-Fi, no power, can't call your kids, you might like that for a hot minute, but how long before literally everything in your life and in your business unraveled? Days, hours, my teenagers minutes? We don't even think about energy until it's not there. And yet it's the invisible backbone of everything we call innovation. Here's what that looks like in Hampton Roads for households and businesses. The average household's already paying roughly $3,000 a year for total energy cost in Hampton Roads. That's actually 18% higher than the national average. That's before projected increases of another $700 per year are added to household bills by 2035. For businesses, the same pressure shows up at scale in operating cost, expansion decisions, and whether investment lands here in Hampton Roads or somewhere else, because energy is not just a line item, it's a gating factor for growth. At the same time, we're asking more and more of the system. Demand's rising, technology's evolving, uncertainty's increasing, while relying on infrastructure that was largely designed 50 to 70 years ago for a completely different kind of economy. So this isn't just about energy, it's about whether Hampton Roads can compete and lead in the next generation of innovation. We're actually in a great starting position. We are in the midst of building the largest offshore wind project in the world. In Surrey, we have two of the first nuclear power plants built in the nation that have been safely operating for over 5 decades. We have abundant, low-cost natural gas. This isn't just local, though. Energy is now strategy, it's now security, it's now geopolitics. And we're seeing this live in real time, what happens when energy systems fall short. In parts of Europe and Asia, energy constraints are now impacting industry growth and daily life. Work weeks have already been shortened, and shower times too. Now contrast that with the United States. We have a major advantage, affordable, abundant natural gas. Here prices are roughly $3 to $4 per MMBTU. In Europe, they've reached $30 to $40 equivalent. So it's not just economic, it's strategic. It's one of the reasons the US has also been able to reduce emissions by 40% from peak levels while maintaining reliability and growth. But globally, the story's different. China's building everything. They're leading in renewables while they're also adding more coal capacity than the rest of the world combined. And at CERAWeek, which is the most influential energy conference in the country, the message was very clear last week. Energy is the backbone of our modern economy, and we cannot afford to not be all of the above. AI, manufacturing, defense, logistics, quality of life. None of it happens without energy, and reliability is non-negotiable. So let's get a little personal and talk about data centers and what they do for us. A single large data center can use the equivalent of 100,000 homes. We have 20 plus connected devices per household today, and that demand is growing. It's shifting to the digital infrastructure behind our lives. Data centers powering us already account for 4 to 5% of US electricity demand, and that's rising quickly. So even if your personal energy use feels stable, our true energy footprint is growing. And here in Hampton Roads, we're not just consuming energy, we're competing for it. So I think the question is not, will energy shape the future? It's who will be ready to power it. We already have incredible assets. We have incredible talent. The Secure Energy Future Center, grand opening April 22nd at Tech Center. We're building the platform to connect all of these things, but it's not going to be automatic. Other regions are moving, and they're moving much faster and with a lot more capital. The regions that are winning are answering the question, can you deliver power quickly, reliably, and at scale? So here's what that requires: faster permitting and siting, policies aligned with real demand, which is forecasted to grow 5 to 6% annually year over year, affordability, and all of the above energy strategy, less fragmentation and more coordination, because in our economy, speed is competitiveness. In an even more fragmented world, and at a time when nationalism is getting a lot of airtime, we believe partnership still wins. Our recent engagements with the UK partners has reinforced this, and the future of energy and defense will be built through shared infrastructure, technology, and security priorities. We're very uniquely positioned in Hampton Roads to be a gateway in that relationship. So here's the opportunity. Energy is now a multi-trillion-dollar global investment race. We have over $3 trillion per year being invested in the industry, quickly heading towards $5 trillion as soon as 2029. The regions that can attract and deploy that capital and the regions that invent and deploy the new energy technologies will lead the next economy. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. My kids would be rolling their eyes right now. What if Hampton Roads became a global gateway for secure energy? And we led the nation in energy innovation and investment, where new energy technologies are tested in real-world environments. Defense installations became living laboratories for resilience. Our port becomes a hub for next-generation fuels, technologies, and global energy trade. And companies choose Hampton Roads because they know if they come here, they're going to get connected. If they come here, they're going to be supported structurally and financially. And if they come here, they're going to get to market faster. Because I believe if we do that, we are not just participating in this future economy, we're powering its transformation. So the call to action sounds really simple, but it's actually really hard. We need to move faster, we need to align better, we need to make decisions quickly, and we can build a region that doesn't just keep up with the change, we can power what comes next.
I'd be remiss if I didn't share another critical aspect of energy in our region, Jefferson Lab. Last year, Jefferson Lab engaged entrepreneurs in early commercialization efforts to build nuclear energy adjacent technologies from the lab's experts. And then they secured leadership roles around data standards and data lifecycle managements for the Department of Energy's Genesis mission. This has national impact and shapes future groundbreaking IA tools and outputs. They continue to build their team that supports deep tech research and development for things that will soon be important and practical in our everyday lives. Innovation in education is another aspect that needs to be highlighted. As the world changes, so do our universities. CNU's Innovation Hub, they launched data science and AI products, and they are accelerating research in autonomous robot systems. They have an engineering research center for drones and robotics. ODU, they have launched the Monosphere, a partnership with ODU and Google AI. They've expanded industry-aligned work-based learning while deepening their engagement with regional innovation and defense. And William & Mary, they're not resting either. They launched a School of Computing, Data Science, and Physics. AI and bioengineering programs have been approved and are now being offered. And they launched a ChatGPT EDU pilot in the fall. Speaking of education, I would like to talk a little bit about Start Peninsula, another program managed by Innovate Hampton Roads. Start Peninsula is the longest running pitch event in Hampton Roads, having started in 2012. With the support of Newport News, James City County, Hampton, Poquoson, Williamsburg, and York County, it is the on-ramp to our ecosystem. This is where ideas are validated and then becomes businesses. The way the program works is that we have 4 micro-pitch events throughout the year, and they pitch to a panel of judges. The top 3 pitchers from each event, they advance to compete in a championship event that is held each November. The successes have been incredible. We've had an appearance on Shark Tank, and yes, they did get a deal with Mark Cuban and Lori Grenier. 17 of our founders have later attended accelerators in hopes of raising capital. And in terms of raising capital, our Star Peninsula companies have raised more than $74 million. And last year, we had our first exit when Occasion Genius was acquired. That is the first stop aboard our rocket ship. For the first time, Hampton Roads has a functional roadmap for our startups to follow. First, we validate. That's done at Star Peninsula, or the Hive in Virginia Beach, or with the SBDC's ICAP program. Then, we incubate. At this stage, we get them ready for growth. The Launchpad, Reactor, Neptune Shield are all places where founders can go. Then, we accelerate. High-intensity programming to prepare startups for investment. 757 Accelerate positioned itself as the Commonwealth's premier investor readiness accelerator. 757 Defend, we heard from that earlier, and B-Force are all places that offer programming. Then we fund. 757 Angels, they just celebrated their 10-year anniversary. In that 10-year history, they have invested more than $120 million into 50 companies. They have 5 exits, placing them as a top 3 angel group in North America. Another invaluable partner is VIPC. In Hampton Roads alone, VIPC has funded 340 companies, totaling approximately $75 million through Virginia Venture Partners. They have funded 50 launch grants, totaling $2.3 million, and 345 commercialization private sector grantees have received just under $30 million. And near and dear to my heart is their support to entrepreneurship support organizations like Innovate Hampton Roads and 757 Collab. They have awarded over $500,000 to organizations in our region since 2021. As organizations make their way through the roadmap, we have to tell the story. We have all heard this over and over and over again, that we have to tell the story. That has been absent, and that is no longer the case. Last year alone, our storytelling efforts at Innovate Hampton Roads have generated more than 4.4 million views across our platforms. Platforms like the Fervent 4 Show. And when the world shut down in March of 2020, my co-host Zach Miller and I, we jumped on a Facebook Live, and well... We live? We good?
We good.
Yeah, I've been nervous about it for a week. Very excited to be here.
Is it because you don't know what questions we're going to ask?
Yes.
Speaking of new merch,
oh my.
I have this guy. This is the yellow dog. There he is. There he is, making an appearance.
Reciprocity, if people can't help but reciprocate, it's just our human nature.
Oh, my record's about 24, 26 foot tall.
Yo, LED La Cruz, man. How cool is that? And the kids are everybody's high-fiving each other. The whole city's together behind something.
Yeah, that was some good like
shimmy shake.
Do you remember that day at all?
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. I remember that day.
We were making this drink mix for these athletes, and they were secretly using this drink mix.
Not knowing anything about Emperor's Purse or whatever it was called.
My Emperor's Purse. You get a pass.
All of our episodes can be found on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's Apple, Google, or Spotify. Episode 304, we will record that tomorrow. Another way that we tell the story is through the Startup World Cup. Early indicators of success happened over 2 years ago when I was contacted by Pegasus Tech Ventures, a San Francisco-based VC firm. They asked if we would be interested in hosting the Startup World Cup in Virginia Beach. They expressed that they had never done anything in Virginia, and after doing a quick search, they found Innovate Hampton Roads, and they made that connection. The first year was held at the Ziders Theater in Virginia Beach, and 300 people attended. The winner that year was Newport News' very own IV Watch. IV Watch went on to San Francisco, and they competed at the global scale, and they finished in an impressive third place in the entire world. The following year, we were invited back. This time we moved to the Sandler Center in Virginia Beach, moving to a larger venue to meet the demand. And last year, more than 700 people attended. It was an event filled with fun and surprises, like kicking the event off with a surprise appearance from the ODU Marching Band and the Norfolk Tide's mascot, Riptide, throughout the first pitch. And today, I am happy to announce that the Startup World Cup will be back for a third year. The event will take place on September 17th at the Sandler Center in Virginia Beach. Applications are now open, and we encourage all Virginia startups to apply. There we will feature the top 10 startups of Virginia, all on one stage in one evening, competing for the Virginia title and representing Virginia in San Francisco, where the winning company will receive $1 million. 757 Tech Night, another way that we tell that story. Last year we brought it back. We hosted it at the Chrysler Museum. It was a sellout crowd with more than 400 people attending, and there were 9 award categories ranging from Startup to Watch to recognizing a regional champion with the John W. Wynn Regional Champion Award. It was a night to remember, and the excitement was fire. I'm thrilled to announce to you today that just like the Startup World Cup, we're going bigger than ever before. On October 29th, we will be hosting 757 Tech Night at the Dome in Virginia Beach. Nominations are now open, and we encourage everyone to go to our website and nominate any and all deserving companies. We can't wait to see you there. Thank you, Virginia Beach, for being such a great partner. It's going to be fun, y'all. You need to be there. In today's economy, innovation corridors, they are powerful engines of growth. They cluster talent, universities, startups, and industry in one vibrant place, sparking collaboration, accelerating commercialization, and turning ideas into jobs and companies. That's exactly what has been happening all along at the Norfolk Innovation Corridor. A dynamic technology zone stretching from Norfolk State University to Old Dominion University along the Elizabeth River Trail. Helping lead this effort is Kevin Leslie, Associate Vice President for Innovation and Commercialization at Old Dominion University. With deep experience in advancing university technologies, launching research-driven economic development, and building partnerships across the region, Kevin is here to tell us about the Norfolk Innovation Corridor. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Leslie.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have the pleasure of serving on both the boards of Innovate Hampton Roads and the Norfolk Innovation Corridor. And personally, what those organizations do and what they embody is one of the things that attracted me to this region and is what kept me in this region. So in the 3 to 5 minutes that I have with you, I will be wearing my Norfolk Innovation Corridor hat, and hopefully we'll leave you with an understanding of what the corridor is and what it does, because I think corridors are, innovation corridors are a very important structure in the innovation ecosystem mix that we have not talked about yet. So where did this come from? The corridor was established in 2020. For those of you who know Chuck McPhillips, I don't know if he's here, Chuck and some of the other founding members of the NIC looked around Norfolk and said, we have all of these amazing puzzle pieces here. How do we work to combine them even better to attract new high-growth, high-tech companies to the region and attract the workforce that sustains those? And so from that question, the Norfolk Innovation Corridor was born. The organization is sustained through a mix of funding. So the City of Norfolk provides support. The core anchor institutions provide annual membership dues, and there are some occasional philanthropic grants, but for the most part, that's the core mix. So for those of you who are not familiar, Tim gave an overview of the general range, but this corridor extends all the way up from around Old Dominion University down to Fort Norfolk and the medical complex, and then out down east towards downtown and Norfolk State University. So this is it's a pretty wide mix. This zone is an official technology zone. So businesses, startups, firms that are expanding are eligible for tax incentives as they locate in the Norfolk Innovation Corridor. But that's not all an innovation corridor is. You have to have the tax incentives for sure. But I think one of the things people forget about is that this really is an embodiment of the research strengths that are here, the cultural strengths that we have, and how all of those tie together. So a lot of the core large players in here, ODU, CHKD, Norfolk State, ADP, a lot of these large organizations, but the Norfolk Innovation Corridor is also home to dozens of small businesses, many of them of whom you are familiar with, like Rialto Life Sciences, Embody, CX Perks, IP Configure, the Elizabeth River Project, Rise Resilience. And all of these groups, again, working both in the technology space, but also trying to build the cultural backbone of this corridor. And so when we think about quality of life initiatives like the Elizabeth River Trail, right? These are pieces that are very common in other corridors and that start to tie together this in a cohesive story so that it's not just a collection of businesses that we drew a line around, right? This is a group that's connected on multiple levels. And as an organization, the Norfolk Innovation Corridor Board and its committees works very hard not just to say, this is where we are, but to provide a lot of the events and cultural backbone for the startup ecosystem within the corridor and the businesses that are there to highlight them. But we also provide a lot of concierge work one-on-one with companies who are in the corridor or even those that are interested in partnering with those in the corridor around a particular problem or technology. We have hundreds of volunteer hours among the board members to be able to support those companies as they come in, to triage them and provide that support. And it also provides a venue for all of those member institutions to work with each other and coordinate as we think about how to work together for that shared growth. And it's been a worthwhile investment. I mentioned that this organization has only been around since 2020. Since 2021, over $42 million in capital invested within the corridor and 500 new jobs created by folks within the corridor. And when we think about some of the other activities, not just generating these kinds of numbers, it's the infrastructure that we help facilitate. The corridor partnered to bring in a fiber ring to serve a lot of the downtown corridor and its members to increase access to broadband so they could actually do the day-to-day work that they needed to do. And as we think about how we structure this organization, the NIC has been tireless in trying to look at the models around the world, around the country, for how these innovation districts evolve. And we're very proud to say that we're a member of the Global Institute for Innovation Districts, which is sort of the standard bearer for not just how you govern a corridor, but how you operate one. And so as we have learned from years of consultations with external folks, visits to other sites, no two corridors are exactly the same. And I think we're all familiar with the fact that Hampton Roads in particular is a very unique region on the whole. And so as we're looking ahead, I want to highlight that there are 75 leaders from businesses and government and higher education that make up the Norfolk Innovation Corridor Board and dozens more as members of this corridor. And one of the things that we're very cognizant of is that we need to continue the work that we have been doing to grow the corridor itself, right? But pick your analogy for the region, a string of pearls, this distributed model, a constellation. We are a large region, and there are these concentrated sets of assets scattered throughout. And so we are committed to working with our regional partners, not just to grow the efforts of the NIC, but to align with things like the deal framework and other economic development initiatives so that we're all pulling in the same direction, because we can do both of those. So I am very proud of the progress that we have made in a few short years, but I'm very excited about what lies ahead with our opportunities to both grow the NIC and align with all of the other innovation activity happening in the region. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Bob McKenna, do you have an answer to that? No? Well, you better think on your feet, because the mic's yours.
One clap. Thank you. Mom? All right. How's everybody doing? Tim told me I have 10 minutes. So it's kind of tough to follow Kevin Leslie because he looks like he stepped out of a Brooks Brothers catalog. And he has beautiful slides, not a hair out of place. And here I come. My hair's a mess, bushy mustache, typecast as the one clap rule guy. No slides. But I just have a few things to say, and it's not an answer because we're just getting started. Tim, thanks for having me. It's great to be here at the State of Innovation. Today is about more than innovation. It's about building it intentionally together. Last year, a group of us visited Kendall Square in Boston, the most innovative square mile on the planet, they say. What we saw was simple but powerful. Innovation doesn't happen by accident. It happens when institutions, talent, and capital align with purpose. That's the opportunity in front of us on the Virginia Peninsula, because we already have the assets, from NASA Langley to Jefferson Lab, from CNU to Hampton University to William & Mary, Virginia Tech. Every branch of the United States military, world-class research, talent, and industry. We don't need to build something new. We need to connect what we already have and move with focus and urgency. So today, I'm proud to introduce the Peninsula Innovation Collaborative, PIC. And we chose that because we want to be before NIC, so we're PIC-NIC, right? We're behind them now, but we're going to catch up. This is a commitment to align our institutions, support entrepreneurs, grow investment, and turn more ideas into companies and jobs. Not a new bureaucracy, a partnership. Not someday, starting now. And we're not stopping here. This fall, in partnership with the Hampton Roads Alliance, we'll continue building momentum with a regional visit to Huntsville, Alabama, one of the nation's leading defense and aerospace innovation hubs. This is about execution. It's about outcomes. And it's about positioning the Virginia Peninsula to lead in the industries that will define the future. If you want to be part of building that future, we invite you to join us. Come see me. Thank you.
Y'all didn't realize you're going on a picnic today, did you? We have one last announcement to make, and that is the Innovate Hampton Roads, or the IHR 200. One of the most common questions that we're asked is, who are the best companies? We get that from investors, we get that from the media. So today I'm happy to announce the IHR 200, where we are compiling a list of the top 200 privately owned companies in Hampton Roads. We will identify them by name, by vertical, and by stage so that we can track their progress, celebrate their successes, and help them become that unicorn. Today, we're going to reveal the first 20 companies on that list. And they are ADS, Buzz Franchise Brands, CX Perks, Fairlead, FinFit, G2 Ops, Gravity Forms, Groundworks, Grow, and IP Configure. Congratulations to those. Next, we have IV Watch, LifeNet Health, Marathon Consulting, Psionic, Rialta, Stratus Live, SVT Robotics, Tidal Flight, XKIG, and Yellow Dog Software. Congratulations to the first 20. This is an ongoing list. We will continue to add to them. We have many more that are in the hopper, but this is all about telling that story. It's about moving them through that pipeline that we talked about and creating those unicorns. So thank you to the Mariners Museum for hosting us in this inspiring space where history and innovation converge. A special thank you to our sponsors, to our volunteers, to Zach, to Destiny, to our board members to help make today possible. Most of all, thank you for being here today and choosing to invest your time in the future of Hampton Roads. Today, we gave you an unfiltered snapshot of the innovation surging across our region. From space to maritime to AI, energy, water, and defense, we laid out our ambitious goals, including building a unicorn in each of the 7 cities, and we shared a clear blueprint how to get there, a startup roadmap that takes ideas from validation to funding, powered by relentless storytelling that showcases our builders to the world. The wave is already building, and now it's up to us together to ride it, shape it, right here in the 757. We can't wait to see you at the Startup World Cup and 757 Tech Night. Thank you all for being here. It's 1:29, 1 minute to spare. Let's go!